I spent 7 years trying to gain admission into the university, applying over and over to more than 3 universities, namely University of Jos, Usman Dan Fodio University, and Ahmadu Bello University. Hello, I'm Ojonigo Friday, a professor, life coach, and pastor. I taught at the prestigious Ahmadu Bello University for over 16 years before I transferred my service to the Federal University, Dusima, where I am currently. I've seen a lot of candidates try to gain admission into university over and over and over again, spending years at home, seeking courses like medicine, pharmacy, and engineering. Some have great Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination as UTME scores, way above the cutoff mark, and good O-level, ordinary level results, and yet they do not gain admission into their desired courses. You might be wondering why you cannot gain admission no matter how hard you try. Or you might be a new candidate trying out JAMB and UTME for the first time. I'm here to demystify the admission process of Nigerian universities. The first thing you need to be aware of is what we call the Cutoff Mark. Until recently, this was regulated by JAMB, and it was put at 180. It was then dropped to 150, and recently JAMB decided to leave it at the discretion of the universities. This, however, doesn't mean that it doesn't matter anymore. It simply means that the university gets to choose what point to set for their cutoff. For example, for the 2022-2023 UTME examinations, the cutoff mark of University of Ibadan is 200. Usman Dan Fodio is 160. Ahmadu Bello University is 180. Federal University Dusima has a cutoff mark of 150. Different courses also have different cutoff points, which is mostly set by the university. There are courses that have cutoff points of up to 200. In fact, some courses like medicine or university have 250, 270 as their cutoff mark. Of course, the cutoff mark sometimes is placed on the performance, is precedent on the performance of candidates during the UTME, because the cutoff mark is a selection criteria which combines not just your ability to pass the UTME, but also scoring high to be competitive, to be able to enter into the university of your choice. Your state of origin. You might be wondering how this makes sense. It might seem quite discriminatory or wrong, but hold on a bit. Let me explain. For you to understand how these factors in or matter, you need to understand some things about the JAMB guidelines. According to the JAMB guidelines, allotment for candidates' admission into federal university shall be 1. On merit, catchment area, and educationally less developed states. And these have their percentages. For merit, it is 45%. For catchment area, it is 35%. And for educationally less developed states, it is 20% of the quota given to the university. The situation might be slightly different for state and private universities, but that's the standard for the federal universities. The candidates list is usually ranked in descending order from the highest to the lowest. The percentages listed above are based on the number of students the department wants to admit. Let's say there are 200 students to be admitted. 90 of them will fall into the merit list. 70 will fall into the catchment area, and 40 will be from the educationally less developed state. Merit simply means that you actually earned the admission, and this is measured purely based on performance. Catchment area are states within the same geopolitical zone. Not all schools consider this, however, but a fair amount do. The educationally less developed states are basically, as the name implies, there's a list from JAMB that contains educationally less developed states in Nigeria, and they come from all the geopolitical zones. It means, therefore, that if you are from those states, you have the opportunity of getting admitted into any of the federal universities across the country. But If you are not from the educationally less developed states, then know that you have chances of getting into the university only through merit or by catchment. And if you are not from the catchment and you are not from the educationally less developed state, then you have only one opportunity of getting into the university through merit. The selection for the merit list is done linearly. After the merit percentage is reached, the selection for the candidates is done by picking state by state. It no longer follows a strict linear order. Let's take a simple example. A department has to choose 5 candidates from 3 states. The first state has 4 applicants, each with scores of 279, 278, 274, and 271. The second state has 2 candidates with scores of 268 and 250. The third has 1 candidate with a score of 220. Now looking at this example, the 4 from the first state cannot gain admission all at the same time because already there's competition from that state. If you pick the first one, 279, you move to the next state, you pick the 268. You move to the next state, you pick the 220. Since there are 3 states, and that is done for the number of states, either within the catchment area or the educationally less developed state, then you now move back again and start. If all the states have been picked, then you move back, start from the first state again, then you pick the candidate with 278. Then you now move and pick the candidate with 250. After that, the quota is filled, no more. So the candidates with 274 and 271 in the first state automatically will not get admission. Now let's look at it this way. 268, 250, and 220 got admission. And yet, 274 and 271 did not get. Why? Because of the state. There was competition from the state. That was why they could not gain admission into the university. I've been involved in admission for years. And I want to tell you that this is a fair system. Number one, the merit list, that's why the merit list has the highest percentage. So it gives opportunity for those who actually worked hard to gain admission. But at the same time, you cannot exclude the other states. I remember I was in a particular university where we did admission. Not for JAMB this time around, but for our remedial school. And we decided that year, the list is going to be purely on merit. And I want to tell you that by the time we picked the merit list, we were supposed to admit 1,000 candidates. By the time we picked the merit list, and I'm telling you the truth, I don't want to mention the state now because I'm on international platform. I don't want to project any state for now. But I want to tell you that those who identify with me or who knew can identify what I'm talking about. From a single state, we had 900 candidates out of 1,000. And that was already an experience. In a country with 37 states, that's including the FCT, you have 900 out of 1,000 coming from one state. That is why this system, at least to a large extent, one will give room for merit, but also give room for those from the catchment area and for those from educationally less developed states. So it's a fair system. Note that the scores used for this process varies depending on the university. Some use UTME scores alone, some use a combination of UTME and post-UTME, and some use a combination of UTME and the WAEC O-level results. Now, a lot depends on your choice of university. If your aim is to get a university education in your desired course and not to brag about the university you attended, then pay attention to the requirements of the universities before you apply. A degree is a degree. Bother more about the quality of your output. You might come from one of the most prestigious universities and yet do not have good knowledge of the subject matter, and you won't be able to get your dream job or to even make your dream contribution to society, because university education is not only about getting a job. It's high time we disabuse our minds about getting a university education just to get a job. The university education is to mold you, to develop your mind so that you can contribute meaningfully to society. So don't put yourself in a straitjacket of only looking for a job. And let me tell you also that most new university lecturers are either products or workers of the older universities who have been drafted in to establish the various programs. I've seen a lot of candidates spend years seeking admission into so-called prestigious universities, while their mates ended up graduating from the new universities with better grades. Some of their mates might even come back to teach in the older universities. I can say all these things because I have taught at an older university for almost 2 decades, and I'm still teaching in a new university for about a decade now. So I know what I'm talking about. I also was the best graduating student in my department and gained both my MSc and PhD from Ahmadu Bello University. Though I'm not an inbred person, because my master's and PhD were supervised by professionals from various countries and various disciplines. I was supervised by a renowned agrometeorologist and a physicist in the person of Professor C.J. Stichter of the Agricultural University of Wageningen in the Netherlands. So I'm telling you that most of the people teaching in the new universities are people from the older universities who are struggling to enter into. Meanwhile, opportunities are more in the new universities than in the older universities. Your choice of course also matters. Within the same university, cutoff marks for courses differ. Some courses like medicine, pharmacy, engineering have higher cutoff marks because of the number of candidates that apply for them every year. I remember in one of the universities where I taught, in a particular year, about 10,000 students applied for 120 slots in medicine, while just a little above 100 applied for agriculture. Your guess is as good as mine. Usually, what the university does is to move students to those courses that are undersubscribed. Now, I've revealed to you all the secrets about admission into Nigerian universities, and you have no right not to be admitted. Do your best, and I wish you your best. Thank you. If you have any question, please drop them in the comments box below. And if you want to remain anonymous, click on the link below and send your questions to me. If you have learned something from this video, please like the video and share to your friends, to your colleagues, to your mates, to your children, and even to as many as you think would need to learn from the video. And please don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you will be the first to know of my next video. Thank you very much.